uncertificated, which she could do in those days, before she went to Barry Training College. And then all the money little bit of money it was, as an uncertificated teacher in the little village school, she used to give to her mother to send up to Cardiff for Uncle Ernest to pay his dig money, you know.
Yeah.
And I told Yvonne that only very recently, and she was surprised. She never knew that.
She never knew that?
No, never.
So from what you told me before, all of these brothers and sisters basically did all they could to put Uncle Ernest through medical school in the 30s, in the 1930s.
Only my mother, you know, Auntie Gladys was already teaching, whether she might have, you know, she taught in Pontardawe girls. And then Uncle William John, who was Auntie Lil's husband, he was 11 years younger than my mother, but Auntie Catherine was 17 years younger than my mother. Auntie Gladys was 19 years younger than Auntie Catherine, I mean. Yeah. And so she was blooming cross when they became pregnant with her, because she thought it was disgusting at their age. So she was known better. She was 50, actually, having Auntie Catherine. So is that Auntie Catherine's mum? Yeah, she's the mum to them all. Yeah. Right. And her name's Anne Harrod. See. And he's David Thomas and Anne Harrod. Okay. Thomas. So Anne Harrod is a daughter of... Anne Harrod's the daughter of the man with the white hair. Okay. Yeah. Fine. That's right. And that's her mother. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's all right. They're her parents. Yeah. I see. So Anne Harrod, this Anne Harrod here was the one who was still having kids at 50. Yeah. Well, she had Auntie Catherine. Right. And he was, I told you, 11 years younger. Yeah. And he would have been 13 years younger. Sure. Mum was 17 years younger. Auntie Gladys now. What you mean older? When she was in training college, by training. So she went to college in the end. So Anne Harrod was obviously basically a full-time mum. Oh, yes. What did her husband do? Well, he left school at 13 to work in the local tin plate works. Right. And then, how it happened, I don't know, but he's a self-educated man, very, very musical indeed. And he got a job as a relieving officer for the Swansea Valley. I got this book. Okay. And he's a good musician. He got offered a place in the end to sing with the Carl Rosa Opera Company. Oh, right. Yeah. And then there's conflicting stories about that. Man said because he was ambitious for his children, wanted to put them all through college. Yeah. He learned the whole of Faust and the whole of Carmen, not only his own part. And then he chickened out because it was not, not exactly steady, but you know what I mean. I know what you mean. He wondered if he'd earn enough money to support the family. Somebody else said he broke his leg, and he was a very shy man, and he just. We called her Nana. Your dad called her Nana. So she was looking after your mum? No, after your dad. No, it was Auntie May who looked after Dad. Yeah. She raised all this large family of kids. Yeah, she looked after. Yeah, she did, because he was about 6, and she raised them all. And in the end, she married William Lloyd, her brother-in-law. Yeah, she married him, and she had one child herself, which is stillborn. Oh, that's sad. But they're all so fond of her. So she married your granddad? Yeah, she did. Big Bill Lloyd? Yeah. Okay. Right. She married him. And they had this one child. And then he was a drinker. He drank. And he got cirrhosis of the liver, I believe. And Dad, my dad, as a young boy, used to, she used to say, go and get Dad. And he'd go to the pub at the top foot road and bring his father home. Yeah. Dreadful. Yeah. Absolutely dreadful. Yeah, Dad in Sunday school. Yeah. Yeah. So this character here, Bill Lloyd, he was a big drinker. He was, apparently. And he was a boilermaker on the docks, in the grazing dock. A boilermaker, which of course the docks. Dad always said that that your father would always be very scared of him, so he'd come home and he'd have done so much that your dad would literally just go running for cover as soon as he came through the door. Yeah. They never taught much. I didn't know that. They never taught much about him. They kept it very, very quiet. But I think when he was a person that when he had drunk, I bet he was a violent man. I got a feeling he was. Unbearable to be around. Difficult to be around. Yeah, I imagine so. Sad. Yeah, very sad. And then she was only 38 when she died. So she was 38 when she died. Yeah. And he was about 60 something, I think.
60, okay.
Yeah, it's on the gravestone, about
Yeah.
63, 65, something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I could take you up to see the gravestone if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's only gravestone.
What I find really bizarre is I'd love to do that one day.
Yeah.
I find it really, really strange that this letter, it looks just like my dad's writing, but it's from him, isn't it? It's from, it's from Bill, isn't it?
It's from Tad Key.
Yeah.
Yes, Ray, William, Mary and David. I was about 6, you see.
Yeah.
Well, has he put a date there?
25 November 40-something, 45 perhaps?
45.
43.
Oh, it was, yeah.
So you'd be 11, Dad would be 6.
I'd have been 10 then.
Yeah.
It could have been 45 because he died when I was 8.
Oh, right, okay.
It was on the other side of the family, of course.
Yeah.
Mum's side of the family.
Right. So I thought, so he didn't write this letter?
Oh, no.
No, okay.
No, he didn't. No.
Okay.
He died before I was born, you see. But
Right.
Tad Key was a very clever man and he used to write his poems and he lived in the house in Ashwan, which you saw, and him standing outside.
That's a Tad Key here, isn't it?
Well, that's his father-in-law. That's my grandmother's father.
So this was
he
Tad
lived, he
Key.
was 93.
Yeah.
Tad Key took all his teeth out for him when he was about 90, and he grumbled for the rest of his life. So it's all a bit muddled, really.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So which
That's Tad Key.
Okay.
And that's Mam B, my grandma and grand.
Yeah.
And then the fellow with the white whiskers is her father.
Oh, right, okay.
And her mother was, and she went to see no when she was 83. And she kept her black hair. And four of us, they had a large family, like Kevin did. And she didn't like white hair at all. And Anne Harrod, which was her daughter, my Nangi, her hair remained black too for a long time. So she was the favourite daughter. So the other daughters, she didn't like them because they'd gone white prematurely, like me and like my mother.
Yeah.
I never remember our mother with black hair, but she did have black hair and hazel eyes and rosy cheeks, and she was very beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, she was always beautiful, but I don't remember her with the black hair at all.
So
that's
she had a
grandmother.
Yeah, so she had her last child quite late in life, though, didn't she?
She must have done, yeah. It was Auntie Gwenny or Auntie Mary. Auntie Mary was the last one.
From what you said, she was still at it at 50.
Yeah, I don't know how. I thought she was 83 when she died, and the local butcher used to take her when she was very restless, and he was the only person in the whole village who had he had a van actually.
Right.
He used to take her up to where she was born in Craigenhorse.
Yeah.
And she used to go into the church because they were church then, and so the story goes. And she'd sit in the very pew where she sat as a child. Yeah. And then he'd take her in in his van, butcher's van. He had a butcher's next door to their house.
Okay.
And then he'd run her back home. But then some weeks he was so busy he didn't have time.
So these two were married.
That's right. Yeah,
for a long time.
Aftwen. And her family had a farm called Aftwen Gamble, the middle of Aftwen. He was a blacksmith, but in the census it says that he was actually a miner, so perhaps he was a miner as well.
Okay.
But I thought, my mother always said he was a blacksmith, and he must have made a bit of money to build so many of them houses, you see.
And that's what he did, he built them all houses?
Yeah. But Auntie Catherine said he did, but I don't think he could have built them all houses. One of them were Ernest, Yvonne's.
Wasn't it about her? What's her name? Is that Esther Hinton?
Yeah, that's Esther Hinton. It was Esther Lloyd. And she came down to Barry because she had relatives living the other end of Barry.
Yeah.
And then she went to stay with them. And William Lloyd had come to Barry from Ibervale because he was a steel worker, I suppose. Yeah. To work as a boilermaker on the docks. And they just met through that. And then they got married then, and it was her cousins who I'm still in touch with.
She looks very beautiful there, doesn't she?
She does, she was. And Auntie May used to say she went with her friends to a photographer in Aberdeen, and these girls, all 18 they were. She was older than that actually. They had their photographs taken, and they were just going out of the shop, and the photographer said, "Oh, she had tied her hair back now in this snood and put a hat on, because her hair was very curly and it was sort of hanging down, you see. So she put her hair back like that and put the hat on. And the photographer said, "Oh, do you mind if I take one photograph of you on your own?" He said, "I won't charge you for it." And so she said, "Oh, yes, okay." So he took that photograph, and and then she must have done it in colour because it's there.
Yeah.
And anyway, Auntie May was hanging around the house for a long time, and so Auntie, she died.
Yeah.
She married him. She had a child every 2 years, and I don't know when it's on one of the birth certificates when they got married. They weren't that young actually, were they?
No.
I don't think they were that young because she was 20. He was 29, look. And
she was 26.
She's 26, so it wasn't that young, was it really?
No.
And then of course she started having, first of all, Auntie Gwen, Auntie May, my dad, Linda's mum, Auntie Grace, Uncle Reg, Uncle Gwen, who died of TB. And then finally she had this baby Phyllis, which then she got TB. She died of it. And we went to her grave only last week, Shaq and I.
Right.
And we put some flower daffodils on the grave because Auntie May, Linda gave this sort of urns thing.
Yeah.
Because the grave is full. He's in there, she's in there. And this little girl, Phyllis, for 3 months. And Nana, presumably, who raised them all.
Right.
And so we could put some daffodils on. Well, we'd already been up to the other cemetery, the other end of the cemetery to put where my mum and dad are.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, she got TB, and she said to Esther, who's Nana, I don't know if she's in there. I think I put Nana in there somewhere.
That's what comes to the moment, yeah.
Probably,
yeah.
The other one. Who came down from Aberdeen to look after her, a younger sister called Rachel.
Yeah.
She knew she was going to die, because everyone did from TB, and she begged of her to leave her fiancé in Aberdeen and come down and raise all these children. The youngest being only 2, and Uncle Gwyn. So that's what she did. She came down from Aberdeen, broke off her engagement, and she raised all these kids. Dad was about 6. Auntie May was about 8, and Auntie Graham was about 9.
I didn't realise that. So your dad was brought up by, effectively, a stepmom, the aunt.
Yeah.
And where's the aunt? Is the aunt photographed her?
I don't think I put her in here, have I?